Welcome to Containerized Conversations, where we try to containerize our conversation. I'm Jessica Caffarelli.
And I'm Josh Warhurst. Thanks for tuning in as we dive into some of our favorite topics, one containerized thought at a time.
So this is the 7 Habits Book Club. And we are on the last chapter, Inside Out again. So this episode will just be about, the Inside Out again, and we'll get our final review on the book and how we feel about it. And then I think that then will conclude the end of our book club series. So you want to kick us off?
So Inside Out again, I had to remind myself what Inside Out was the first time.
Yeah.
But Inside Out being, of course, the whole point of this book, which is like you need to develop your internal character before you develop your interdependent character, right? The interpersonal communication, right? So he basically starts it off with a story about him in Hawaii.
I really liked this chapter, actually. I thought it was so cool. This was the one where he was talking about how he rode through like the cane fields or something with his wife, and they would have like really deep conversations. Yeah, I actually thought that this was such a cool chapter because I feel like it shows you in a nutshell like what happens when you inhabit a lot of the habits. And I thought it was really interesting how he talks about like him and his wife have this really touchy subject, which is what was it, the fridge?
It was Frigidaire, which I
Frigidaire.
burst out laughing because we have a Frigidaire, and I talked to my wife about it. I read this section to her, and she started laughing. It was it was good.
But like I thought it was like a really great idea for them to go out into these fields like in a car with their kids and just talk and be open with each other. Don't probe, right? Follow the habits. Don't probe. Make sure it's a safe place. And when it's too uncomfortable and it's too much, they stop. And so I did actually really like this chapter because I do feel like it was like a really great overview of like what happens when you fully embody the 7 habits or most of them, like what can happen in a relationship. And I actually thought there were some really cool ideas in there to help build like a healthy relationship with like, me and my wife. And so like I actually got some really great tips, and like even the kids who look back on those with fond memories because they got to like, go and just hang out in a car and have a good time too.
I think it was only a car. It was his Honda Trail cycle, so it was like a motorcycle, I think.
That was the only thing I couldn't picture. Like I was actually picturing a golf cart because like I was like, oh, they must be like a golf cart with a back seat facing out, so the kids are sitting in the back seat and they're in the front seat. But yeah, I didn't actually know what they were talking about.
It's basically an off-road motorcycle.
Okay.
And it sounds pretty dangerous, although the other stories about him actually sound kind of dangerous too. I had my like kid on my knee while I drove around on this motorcycle. I'm like, oh gosh. But then he has stories of like saving a drunk guy who was drowning and he jumped on his jet ski. Like he sounds like that kind of a person too.
I don't know how they had conversations with each other, if they were like riding tandem or front and back, but
I don't know.
I'm gonna stick with the picture of them in a golf cart driving through like a nice field in Hawaii. But yeah, no, I thought that was really cool. What did you think?
It was really interesting how he said basically this time of life was really important to him because he started each day with like 2 hours of what started out as almost boredom, right? I think his son makes more of a deal about this. Like we're so connected to our devices now, we can't get bored. But he's saying basically when every day you have like a 2-hour excursion with your family, the first couple days or weeks, you're talking about all the simple stuff, right? Your friends, the weather, the kids, your job, the book. And he said, but the longer we got through all that. And so we then started talking about the real serious
of real
stuff.
stuff. Yeah.
And that's where he made up a bunch of like they worked out the rules, right? Like
Yeah.
the whole don't probe, which is an
Yeah.
interesting thing, right? If somebody's revealing something raw, let them kind of discover it, like be there
Yeah.
with them, but don't don't hit them when they're raw. Um yeah, it was really interesting, and I can see how he talks about these as like general principles, the whole habits and everything.
Yeah.
But I can see how moments like this in his life are probably what catalyzed the
Yeah.
effectiveness of some of them.
Yeah.
The fact he was able to sit with them so long. So yeah, I mean, this last section is really just almost like life stories,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he kind of makes the point. I hope you'll see where I'm getting at with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and they're just fun kind of stories about life, and you get the impression that his relationship with his wife is amazing, which is great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it does inspire me just as it inspired you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and I think that was like really a really great ending to a really great book.
yeah,
Um, and like I do think the other thing you said, I don't know if it was in this chapter or the previous one, but like how like we don't experience boredom anymore, and I think
yeah.
that's like a lost art where so much like ingenuity and innovation and just so many different things get struck in that realm of boredom. But we're so tied to technology now that we don't get the chance to do that anymore. And I feel like that was like an almost an aha moment for me where I'm like, man, I need to go camping again.
Camping's
Just
not
don't
boring, man.
don't bring any tech. Well, but if you don't bring any tech, you go camping, it's nighttime, fire's going. Like that is boredom. You're staring at a fire. You have nothing else to entertain you. That's where the true ingenuity starts, right?
I mean, yeah, I go with friends, and even though we don't have the cell phones out, there's enough people there that you can
Uh,
stay there. Yeah, doing it by myself, that would be a different experience.
or just like with one other person,
Yeah.
you know. Especially me because I'm not a very very big talker, so we would
The
just sit and stare at a fire.
the truth is, like you say, people aren't very good with boredom nowadays because there is so much technology to keep us entertained.
Yeah,
And some of these great experiences, some of these great self-development moments happen
yeah,
because people sat with their silence
yeah,
for long enough that they actually had to go past that, right?
yeah.
There's in teaching, I may have mentioned this before in a previous episode, but in teaching, there's this concept that somebody will speak after about 15 seconds of silence,
Mm,
right? So if you ask a question, right, like, what's the square root of 144? And you have a bunch of kids, they
yeah.
might not answer anything right away. No, you might get somebody who answers something. But if you get a whole
Yeah.
class of people and they don't want to answer the question, if you wait long enough, somebody will speak. And
Mm,
that time is
yeah,
around 15 seconds.
yeah,
But that feels so long. People are just so uncomfortable with that amount of silence that
yeah,
the teachers usually do something before that silence ends. And
yeah,
there's
yeah,
actually value to waiting for that silence to prompt something.
yeah.
Um,
No, I mean, and
anyways,
that's a really good approach to, having good conversations. I feel like sometimes some people might talk too much because they're trying to fill the silence. And sometimes having a conversation and letting, like, especially if you feel like you've been talking too much, let it fall silent and see what else happens. Give the other person a chance to talk, right?
hmm, now I'm giving you the chance to talk.
I was giving you the chance. But no, like it is a really good technique to have a good conversation with someone. It's almost like having a standoff of who's going to talk first.
One thing that makes this really hard is with somebody like your wife, if you're talking every day, you
Mhm.
can actually get through all that kind of like chit chat conversations and eventually get to something deeper.
Yeah.
But I think it can be harder with like friends and other people who you see like once a year
Yeah. Yeah.
to actually get to those kind of deeper conversations.
Yeah.
But I think his whole thing about like, make that time. This is kind of a
Yeah.
quadrant 2 activity. You might never have this experience, but if you make this experience, if you make
Yeah.
these moments of growth and connection, these the things that are going to bring you joy in your life and meaning. So the book ends with a bunch of a question and answer section, which I thought was pretty fun, as well as a quadrant 2 day life in the office, which was fun.
Yeah.
Like what activities are these?
Yeah. So there was one question and answer in the section that gave me a chuckle. And I was trying to find it, but I couldn't find it. But it was something in there that was like, have you like fully inhabited all of these 7 habits? And do you
Mm,
think you're a pro now? And there's nothing more you can learn. And he basically says, no, I actually slip up all the time.
yep.
That's the point of these habits is you will never master these habits. You will never be done with them. You are always constantly improving, and it's really important to do so. And it definitely gave me a chuckle because he probably inhabits these habits better than most people, but even he like doesn't view himself as like someone who does them well. Um,
Well,
and
he
I think
actually
it's
says in the Q&A, he says, "Which habit do you personally have the greatest difficulty with?"
yeah,
And he says, "Habit 5, when I am really tired and already convinced I'm right, I really
mm.
don't want to listen. I may even pretend to listen. Basically, I am guilty of the same thing I talk about, listening with the intent to reply, not to understand.
yeah,
In
yeah.
fact, in some sense, I struggle almost daily with all 7 habits. I have conquered none of them."
That was it. Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. Yeah. No,
And
and I think it was I think it's really great he put that in there because I think that's it. Like I even with me reading this book and knowing about it, I struggle with them all the time. And like he said, on the days when I'm really tired and I just don't want to listen. I just I have to, so I'll put it on. I'll put on the face, but man, I just want to be heard. That's all I want.
and
So
that's why the 7th habit is all about improving yourself. Like you're never going to get there.
yeah,
And these aren't like, "Oh, the 7 things you do to become a highly effective person and then you're done." These are the 7 habits, the 7
yeah,
things that you should do daily.
yeah,
There's no end. You
yeah,
don't
yeah.
one day stop brushing your teeth because you decide my teeth are clean enough,
I mean,
right?
I'm so good at it, I don't need to do it anymore.
I
Yeah,
won.
no.
I won at
Yeah,
brushing my teeth, right? You
yeah,
don't win at the 7 habits.
yeah.
You
I mean, I
constantly
win
do
at the
them.
7 habits, but
Oh,
maybe
okay.
I win, you lose.
Oh, classic win-lose mentality.
No, yeah, yeah. No, it's great. Honestly, okay. So here, uh, so since this is the last episode, we're talking about the book. I want both of us to say what we out of all of it, out of everything, think about like what is the thing that we did horribly before we read this book, and then now that I've reread it and you've reading it the first time, what is it that you recognize now you do bad, and you will do better going forward? And so I'll give you a chance to think, because I'll say mine first, and I'll excuse you for thinking about a response without fully listening. Um, but for me, I do I did exactly what he was talking about by trying to make relationships efficient. And by making it efficient, I was making them ineffective. And so I recognize that as a problem I've had, and I'm gonna do better at that and make time for building proper relationships. Try not to make them efficient, so that I can make them more effective. I think that's something I probably do the worst out of all of the bad things I do from the 7 habits. What
I
about you?
I think the habit that resonated the most with me is probably some combination of habit 5 and 7.
Mm.
Sorry, 4 and 6.
46. Okay.
Yeah, so to remind you, 4
Mm.
is think win-win
Okay.
and 6 is synergy, right?
Yep. Yep.
Famously, one of the habits that I had no idea about when we were trying to describe the habits before we read this book.
Yep.
But think win-win, I was definitely in a paradigm of like things like lose-win or even win-win. I wasn't thinking necessarily I'm I thought win-lose was like a bad way of thinking about the world, but
Yeah.
I didn't really have a great alternative.
Yeah.
And I think that this is something that really kind of coming up with those win-win strategies
Yeah.
in my relationships with people, especially at work,
Mm. Yep.
uh, is something that I struggle with. But the
Yeah.
biggest part of that is that synergy, right? Is the idea that I don't have to come up with that win-win
Yeah.
situation. I need to listen to other people, and then we collectively come up with something that's better than what I could have thought of,
Yeah.
which can sometimes be a challenge when you're not dealing with someone with the same mentalities,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's the thing that I think I struggled the most with. I'm definitely
I mean,
attuned to it. Like I feel like I'm
finding
looking for it, but
trying to get a win-win, especially when you're dealing with someone else who's looking for a win-lose or a lose-win, it's hard. It is
yeah.
really hard. So I honestly, if I was going to take a step back and look at all of the habits, I definitely think trying to find a win-win situation when you're dealing with people who are very cemented in like win-lose or lose-win, probably one of the more harder um, like habits, I guess, to achieve because you not only have to deal with your own mental internal battles, but then you need to also try to get another person to transcend their internal battles as well to reach that win-win, right? It's like the first because all the rest of them build on top of it. So like once that starts, it's like a cascade effect, and then you can get synergy, and then you can get sharpening the saw. But it's like that first like paradigm shift of getting both yourself and then someone else to do. It probably is the hardest one. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, and I think I haven't consciously like sat down and thought about them and like that way
Yeah.
um before this book. And it's just something like unconscious, but I think by making it conscious, by making it something I have to think
Yes,
about, I'll be better at it.
for sure.
Because
Yeah.
I can put it into words that before I'm just kind of vaguely mucking
Yep.
around.
Yeah, it's so powerful being able to finally put words to something that like feels wrong or different or something, and it's just but you just don't know how to like understand it even for your own sake. And that's what this book is really good at. It's really good at putting words to stuff you feel it, but you just didn't know how to put it to words, right?
And there's a line that actually is basically what you just said on 375. He says, "Most of us have tasted this fruit of true unity from time to time in the
Yeah,
past,
yeah,
as we have also tasted the bitter, lonely fruit of disunity, and we
yeah,
know how precious and fragile unity is."
yeah,
And I just feel like I heard that, I read that, and
yeah,
I thought instantly of like work situations
yeah,
or
yeah,
uh it's just interesting, right? We all, like you say, we've all experienced a lot of this
yeah,
and gut feeling we know that it's uh that it exists. We're just
yeah,
like unable to put into words exactly what we're trying to achieve and what we're looking
yeah,
for.
yeah. Well, now that you've read this book, now you understand my paradigm. And so you should think back to when we've worked together. I feel like you'll get a lot more sense to who I was as a person coming into the job and doing the things I was doing. A lot of it should make like so much more sense now, you know?
I also totally understand why you wanted me to read this book.
Yes, well, I want everybody to read this book
Yeah.
because it's just so much easier because it gets you into that paradigm, right?
I
That
want other people to
perspective.
read this book too.
Yeah, yeah,
It has that effect, right? You
yeah,
read it and you
yeah.
just say, "Man, I wish I could talk to everybody about this."
Yeah,
Right?
if only you knew what I was, like, thinking or my perspective, then we could have a really great conversation about this, right?
It makes that by giving somebody the paradigm of this book,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it makes it easier to start from that base a conversation and kind of go from
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
rather than doing the hard work of like actually getting the other person
yeah.
to where you are, right?
Yeah, well, and I think that's the hard part when you are dealing with someone who hasn't read this book and you are trying to get them to the 6 habit, the synergy. You have to essentially teach them this without teaching them the book. Because the
Mhm.
problem is like if you try to teach them directly from the book, they know kind of what you're doing. Especially when it's me and they've already talked about the book before, people just roll their eyes. So you have to subconsciously do it and get them to be independent and then get them to be interdependent and then get them to think win-win and then get them to think synergy, right? It's difficult sometimes if they haven't read the book before, and so you have to like find those strategies to kind of do that.
Well, for you just got to deposit enough in their emotional bank account, and
So yeah, well, so what's really funny too, right, is this is like an extra struggle because I've gotten the chance to have interdependency a lot through my working career with various people. Some of it I just fell into, others like I built that relationship to do so. And so it's so like infectious that you can almost I was thinking about this the other day when we were reading about dependency and how like dependency is bad, you need to be independent. I'm almost now dependent on the interdependency. Like if I don't have interdependency, I'm upset. And so it's like a catch 22. I'm no longer independent because I feel like I'm not effective anymore at just being independent. I need an interdependent relationship so I can achieve my full effectiveness. And if I don't have that, I'm not effective at all. I should just not be working. And so I have this dependent relationship now on interdependence. And it's like, it's
I
terrible.
mean
It's terrible.
that's the whole habits though, right? Is that
Yeah.
you're never done, right? You don't
Yeah, exactly.
you you're never you didn't become a perfectly independent person, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You've but
I've fallen off the bandwagon and have to get back on.
but I mean, at the end of the day, this book is a really good way of looking at life, looking at relationships, looking at
Yeah.
personal development, right?
Yeah.
Trying to suss out what's important and how we can achieve what we want to achieve with other people.
Yeah.
And the author has written a bunch of other books and he started a foundation and
Yeah.
he's done a lot in his life and there's been a lot based off this book. And I hope that more people can read it and kind of understand it and come back to it, right? Like my
Yeah.
mother read this, I don't know, 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Or however many years ago. And I'm sure her listening to this, it's going to evoke some of that, like, oh, I totally forgot about that. Oh,
Yeah.
it's coming
Yeah.
back, right? It's
Well,
something
and
that I
then
do kind of want to revisit in 10 years, just as you're
oh
doing
yeah.
right now.
Well, and like that's the thing. It's like as you go through these major paradigm shifts in your life, when you reread this book, it means something completely different. You
Mm,
touched upon it in one of the last episodes about, when your kid was born. You went through this all of a sudden paradigm shift, right? And same thing with me. So now reading this book means something so different to me than when I was first reading it, which was this, fresh kid out of college trying to make it in this big, big world.
yeah. And I'm sure there are going to be more and more, you're going to have grandkids, you're going to have
Hmm. Yeah.
Different situations in the world. You might move to a different country. All these different things.
Heck, when my kid gets 16 years old and tells me she hates me, I'm going to read this book from a completely different paradigm.
Hey, I don't know what to say.
Is that like oh God, I really hope that's not my future, but might be.
I hope not. I hope not. And the point is, right, begin with the end in mind, and let's do our best to make doing the things that we can do to help make sure that that's not going to happen, right?
Yep.
Or I think he has the metaphor of I think his son has the metaphor of the flight controller, right? Like you go off track, but you just got to make these small things until you eventually get on track. Cool.
Well, I think that's a good end to our series.
Thank you for recommending this book.
Yeah, what did you think of the book?
I loved it, and I feel weird loving it because before this, I thought it was such a dumb book, but I understand why it also is as impactful as it was.
Well, you're my success story then. Hopefully this will convince some other people to read it now that they see you've come over to the dark side.
I come over to the light side. I come out of the cave, right?
Yeah.
Seeing the world in a new way.
I've never my eyes been shut before today.
It's a good book. It's a good book, Yeah.
Well,
cool.
Thank you everyone for listening to this book review. I'm sad it's over, but I'm glad we can move forward and start maybe talking some more about different aspects of the book in everyday life.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jesse.
Have a good one.
And that was our containerized conversation. I'm Jesse Caffarelli.
I'm Josh Warhurst. Have a great night.